This is NTV. This is NTV.
Ideally, we all have the right to express our opinions and views truthfully and openly.
Atele lom tugenda katongole mbukasam.
Kampala bwerere mwansomu the bus.
The discussion is still going on in the bus.
Tulino kugumira challenges ezimu gwe tuba tulino goba abatembeyi mwami lukwaga agumaga abatembeyi mugende no mbadde ndala kunyonyola mukulu
Kati tuwulirize mwami natudde ku kirala.
mbadde ndala kunyonyola mwami yagambye nti
Ideally, we all have the right to express our opinions and views truthfully and openly.
Atele lom tugenda katongole mbukasam.
Kampala bwerere mwansomu the bus.
The discussion is still going on in the bus.
tulino kugumira challenges ezimu gwe tuba tulino goba abatembeyi mwami lukwaga agumaga abatembeyi mugende no mbadde ndala kunyonyola mukulu
Kati tuwulirize mwami natudde ku kirala.
mbadde ndala kunyonyola mwami yagambye nti meya lukwago ye meya omutuufu.
Gavumenti ekutte lukwago emunyigira mu nsonga takyekyusa.
Welcome back to Minibus. Kyogereko.
Singa omusajja abankwana nga njagala sifa ku kya ssente wabula nfa ku mbeera yeyisa
alimba ono
This is Minibus.
Kyogereko.
UPDF choppers go down in Kenya.
So tonight, all the latest as a search continues in Kenya for 2 Ugandan military helicopters, which yesterday went missing with 10 crew members on board.
It's Monday night, the 13th of August 2012. A very warm welcome to NTV Tonight, coming to you live from our studios here in Kampala.
And golden glory reactions flooding for Uganda's very own Olympic hero, Stephen Kiprotich. And as the government moves to recognize his achievements, be sure to have your say in our NTV poll tonight.
But first, let's take you straight to the rest of tonight's main headlines. Reveling in gold, MPs push for Kiprotich's recognition as a national hero.
Barely enough. Why training grounds for athletes in Uganda fall short.
Also tonight, government curves off Chambogo University land to investor. A very welcome to NTV Tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Gabriel Apena.
And I am Rachel Arinitwe. Tonight, a search is continuing in Kenya for 2 Ugandan military helicopters which went missing with 10 crew members on board.
Uganda's army spokesman says the helicopters were among 4 which were due to make a stop in Kenya, but only one landed at the town of Garissa.
The other helicopter made an emergency landing in the Mount Kenya area, and its 5 crew have been rescued.
The aircraft were part of a contingent being sent to reinforce the African Union force in Somalia.
Craig Kadoda has our top story tonight.
Last week, the Uganda People's Defense Force sent more than 100 Air Force soldiers to Somalia, where they were to be deployed immediately upon arrival. Along them, Helicopter, gunships and utility aircrafts were sent to help ground troops after the United Nations Security Council passed a resolution allowing Air Force operations in Somalia. On Sunday, 4 helicopters left Soroti in eastern Uganda for Somalia. They flew over to Eldoret first, from where they refueled, before proceeding to Nanyuki to also refuel, then continue. From Nanyuki, they then fueled and took off at 4 p.m. for the next destination in Garissa.
An MI-17 landed safely in Garissa, but reported not to have lost contact with the others. Between 1900 to 2000 hours, one pilot sent a distressed call that he had made an emergency landing in the mountains and calling for rescue.
The other 2 helicopters remain unaccounted for tonight, with 10 crew members said to be on board. But officials from the Kenya military moved in fast to rescue the crew that was on the plane that crash landed around Mount Kenya and were all safely evacuated to Nanyuki.
How the rescue is still in progress, huh? So there's 3 people there, and I'm going to go and collect them. How are their condition? What is their condition? They're fine. There's only one person with a back injury, but they're in a very difficult location. Okay guys, sorry, please stand by as I'm starting now with the lane.
So far, 18 people have been accounted for, and the chopper is said to be in a not so bad condition. Attack suspicions to have been ruled out by the force.
A chopper that has been shot definitely gets the chances of catching fire high. That this one landed in the mountains and is intact in terms of not catching fire is evidence that nothing like that could have happened. And above all, I think Kenya is secure in terms of air traffic. I'm confident about it.
The Ugandan military, however, says they are confident they can account for the 2 attack helicopters that remain missing tonight. A joint operation rescue by both the Kenyan and Ugandan military is still ongoing tonight. Craig Kadoda, NTV.
Thank you, Craig. Next tonight, as reactions flood in from across the country to Stephen Kiprotich's sensational gold medal performance at the London Olympics. Yesterday, members of parliament called upon the government to consider Kiprotich as a national hero. 23-year-old Kiprotich is a prison warden at Luzira, and the prison service has also announced they are planning to special surprise welcome for the Olympic champion back home. Solomon Seranja brings us the influx of support for Uganda's very own golden boy.
This is the Olympic champion, Stephen Kiprotich.
It was Stephen Kiprotich's gold medal glory through the streets of London yesterday that has won the hearts of all Ugandans.
And he'll kiss the ground on which he won that title.
Reactions have flooded in following Kiprotich's men's marathon victory, which handed Uganda the first gold medal in 40 years. For members of parliament rejoicing at Kiprotich's victory, they are calling for him to be recognized as a national hero in the global sporting arena.
He should be declared a national hero formally. As the chairman Parliamentary Football Club, we are already in consultations with the speaker that a motion be formally moved to recognize his contribution to this country.
According to the sports minister Charles Bakablinde, government is organizing a hero's welcome for the marathon icon and says they will be rewarding his achievement in style.
We are going to sit down. First of all, we'll welcome Kiprotich and the entire group because they all participated. We'll welcome them, and then we shall sit down and see what is viable for him as a sign of appreciating that he has brought us a gold medal after almost 40 years.
But as a backdrop to Kiprotich's success, there has been criticism from some quarters that the team was not well facilitated while in London. However, Bakablinde refutes such claims.
It is not true, as you have been reporting, that the players were given little allowance. Those were not allowances. That was an upkeep. Out of pocket is different from allowances. Officials are entitled to allowances according to their grades. The players were given just upkeep. They were getting medical facilities which you cannot even get here, because those who had problems with their teeth, they were taken to the dentist. Those who had problems with their eyes, we are getting even glasses free of charge. Now, tell me what we are complaining about.
Bakabulinde is also calling upon government to increase the share of the national cake in which the sports sector receives for a proper preparation ahead of the next Olympic Games in 2016 in Rio de Janeiro.
Financing and investing in sports is still lacking, and we need more money if we are to achieve what we want.
23-year-old Stephen Kiprotich is a prison warden, and today the Uganda Prison Services says that preparations are in style for the homecoming of Uganda's very own Olympic champion.
Right now, top management is in session, charting the best way forward, especially in regard to the welcome and reward of our national hero.
His victory puts Uganda at the position of 50th out of the 204 countries that participated in the London 2012 Olympics, propelling him into the ranks of Uganda's sporting legend John Akibua, who earned Uganda's gold medal back in 1972. Solomon Serwanja, NTV Tonight.
And he'll kiss the ground on which...
Well, we won't tire of saying how proud we are of Stephen Kiprotich's performance. Indeed. And it's on that issue that we'd like to hear from you on tonight's NTV poll. We are asking, what do you make of the government's move to recognize Stephen Kiprotich's achievement? What do you make of the government's move to recognize Stephen Kiprotich's achievement?
Well, to have your say, text your comment to 8778. Please do include where you are texting from and your name. We shall be reading some of those responses and also bring you the final poll result at the very end of tonight's newscast. Well, abandoned by those who are supposed to spur her on to Olympic glory, former World and Commonwealth steeplechase champion Dorcas Nzikuru's journey to the 2012 London Olympics was one against all odds. The Ugandan gazelle's tale is one of resilience and determination, where all else seemed to fail her. Now, the Ugandan gazelle's tale is one of resilience, like I've said, and she had no trainer, she had no manager, and had to find her own track shoes just before going to London. Although she qualified for London with a superb time of 9 minutes and 30 seconds, ill preparation would soon be out to haunt her at the Games. Nzikuru, who returned last week, spoke to NTV about her pre- and Olympic experience.
She is without a doubt a gazelle on the racetrack, but also one made of steel, what with the sheer determination and self-belief to make it no matter what the obstacles are. Dorcas Nzikuru has endured a troubled marriage and turbulent career after motherhood to return to the world stage in athletics. Nzikuru made it to the London Olympics after winning at the International Athletics Bottrop Gala in Germany in July. That, however, did not come on a silver platter, she says.
It's not athletes supposed to follow here. No, you can't be an athlete, you can't be a official, you can't be it should be your agent or your coach or your helper who can do these things for you. So, and all of them pull out. So I said, okay, no problem, God will make for me a way. I'm going to fight back, and I want to prove that I'm going to qualify for Olympic Games.
After qualifying, though, it was back to square one. Nzikuru says she had to do some of her shopping, something unheard of among athletes ahead of a major event like the Olympics. Sports Minister Charles Bakabulindi, while addressing the media today, seemed to be reading from a different script, though.
But you had people, I don't know, somebody had no kids, Nzikuru had no kids, that's why I couldn't make it. Kipsura, I say, I don't know how to hold it. Where did you get all this? We had more than enough kids.
I went to look for these shoes very late, going to market, in town, in the center, travel by train, and you waste a lot of time, and you become tired. Yeah, so this is where a major problem came from.
Uganda's Stephen Kiprotich.
Nzikuru also paid tribute to Uganda's only medalist at the 2012 Olympics, Stephen Kiprotich.
I'm happy that he performed well, and I was also praying for them, for him. So I told him, now we have lost. The whole hope is on you.
Now recovering from blistered feet after the Olympics, the former World and Commonwealth steeplechase champion is not crying over spilled milk, but rather going for the gold ahead of her.
And this is not the end of Olympic Games, or maybe it's the end of sports. Next year is the World Championship, and now I know where I am going to improve. I'm going to go back to the stage. So I am not very far, and I'm happy for that, for Olympic Games.
Well, we will have to believe in Uganda's gazelle, if not for consolation, for the unwavering faith in her own abilities.
Very, very inspiring, Dorcas Nzikuru. She ought to have won something as well, but it's understandable from the explanation she has given to us.
All right, we'll take a short break right now. There's still so much more ahead on NTV tonight, and here's what you can expect. Betrayed by My Leader, retired Major John Kazora's book that gives a damning portrayal of President Museveni.
And healing the wounds, Israel seeks to strengthen business ties as it remembers Operation Thunderbolt at Entebbe.
NTV Tonight returns after this break. Do stay with us.
Embeera y'abasajja bano
essuubi nga lyakugwamu mama
bano abasajja abanaatera n'okujja kusigiriza ffe ekiro basituleko emiwumbo gy'emmere bagitwale
sogera byange kibanza bana bagamba bweyagala nkubulira ebyange ja tugende emyanzi
mpulira banyumya babeera bakujerega waliko omusawo w'ekinansi South Africa baba bakujerega obituufu
baba banjerega oyo mufere mubbi yennyini yeetaaga miggo
omuntu wa bulijjo tomuzannyirangako abeeranga dormant volcano
bwemba mukkiriza nina takuwa mugiyita
ate takuwa gobeera mugoberezi tolowooza nti buli mulimo oyogerera omusiraamu singa naakubuuza nti Katonda yagamba atya
oba oli pasita ng'okyawa olimba obba oyenda olina abakazi basatu please heaven is waiting for you. One day you'll pay and soon your time is out.
Otisa moni.
Sitisa. Mkubuulira Yesu talimba.
Ebintu ndimala mulundi gumu. Kati what is I love peace.
Gwokola bi.
Wegase n'omusajja mutwale mabi.
Fieldwork has been defined by different scholars. Some think it is an art.
These are the blood types that are in human beings. We have A.
When a chemical reaction takes place, it involves two things.
We are given a straight line that has been denoted by 2x minus y is equal to 6.
Fieldwork has been defined by different scholars. Some think it is an art.
These are the blood types that are in human beings. We have A.
When a chemical reaction takes place, it involves two things.
We are given a straight line that has been denoted by 2x minus y is equal to 6.
Welcome back, you're watching NTV Tonight. Now we're just receiving an update on our top story, and we cross the border to Kenya, where the search for the two missing helicopters continues tonight. Our sister station NTV Kenya has just sent us this report with the very latest.
The Mi-24 chopper that crash-landed in Mount Kenya on Sunday evening. The chopper is one of the 3 Ugandan choppers that went missing after taking off from Nanyuki for Somalia. And more than 15 hours after this chopper crash landed in the continent's second tallest mountain. 4 of the 7 soldiers who were aboard were brought to the Nanyuki airstrip.
The other guys? You are wrong. Huh? You are 3 or how many?
None of them was injured.
How was it? They will tell you. That way, for information, for us, we engineers, we are not supposed to receive any information. You wait for the captain to come and tell you whatever you want.
The soldiers would, however, not divulge any information about what had befallen them on Mount Kenya. There were no Kenyan military or Air Force personnel here to receive the rescued soldiers. Neither were there medical officials standing by just in case. A Kenyan military aircraft was seen overflying the mountain several times.
Unfortunately, the Puma helicopter is too large to land in a small place that was close to the site. Yeah.
The soldiers were rescued by Ben Simpson, the pilot of a light chopper operating from the Nanyuki airstrip Tropic Air Base. The chopper had been hired by the Al Jazeera news crew, which was the first on the site.
It was quite a schlep. It was probably about 1 kilometre up through the forest, through some very, very dense forest.
We located the aircraft. We saw the 7 survivors sitting and walking around the aircraft. We were able to land about 400 meters up the slope in a small area, and we went by foot down the hill and reached the aircraft.
Heavy rains accompanied by hailstones are said to have made the rescue operation difficult, with the journalists, the pilot and KWS personnel undertaking the rescue operation in the thicket of the vast mountain characterized by a rugged terrain. With 4 officers safely on ground, the pilot was off again to rescue the 3 remaining officers, including the pilot who was injured. That rescue operation took about 4 hours, but the soldiers were not brought to the Nanyuki airstrip. The rescue chopper overflew the airstrip, taking them to the Nanyuki airbase. At the airstrip this time round, medical personnel were on standby to receive the injured soldier.
Unfortunately, the weather was very difficult today. So the second time when we went back, we had to land further away and walk to recover the person who was injured.
It was not immediately clear what caused the chopper to crash land on Africa's second tallest mountain. Having braved freezing temperatures and rain, the soldiers who were aboard the Mi-24, which took off from this airstrip in Nanyuki, are lucky to be alive. Rita Tinina, NTV, Nanyuki.
The latest developments from the 2 missing helicopters in Kenya. Now moving on, being a good athlete takes a long time in training. A need for plenty of patience, great training facilities, adequate facilitation, proper diet and of course a good state of mind. A combination of these can guarantee great success even on the global sporting stage. But unfortunately, in Uganda, criticism continues at the level of training standards in order to further develop and nurture the talent of sporting stars for the future. Florence Naluyimba examines training facilities for Ugandan athletes and what needs to be improved.
Some say that athletes are born according to the nature of the environment around them.
Some of them stay in high altitude areas all their lives, so they are naturally gifted already.
But even those born without such environments yearn for one thing, being number one, getting that prestigious Olympic gold and making sporting history. Such as Uganda's Stephen Kiprotich, a natural-born athlete, going by the favor of his home district environment. Kiprotich has achieved Uganda's first Olympic gold in over 40 years, since Jonah Kibwa's Olympic gold back in 1972.
Now I can die a champion.
But this glory has come with a lot of sweat, even in Luzira prison where he's a prison guard. He takes on extra duties of training fellow athletes. Absalom Ojwang, a national athletic and sprint coach, tells us that he is also trained from the prisons.
Demai. It's called Demai. Demai is a prisons officer. So he trains them there.
Talking of coaches, some say they also need to be changed.
Unless he's a gifted coach who knows all the levels, he may not make it.
Kampala is not an ideal location to breed good athletes. It is no wonder that Kiprotich went to train in Kenya's Rift Valley in the Eldoret region in Iten. But doesn't Uganda have such high altitude areas?
In Kapchorwa area or Mbale area, all those, in Karamoja, we have those places in Kabale, in areas like Ntungamo, Bushenyi, Fort Portal, then you go to the lower parts of West Nile, in Nebi.
Such areas are chosen for their numerous benefits.
All high altitude training camps should be 5,500 feet or more, so that you get the benefit of training in a rare
oxygen, rare oxygen area, which means your body, given the rigor of exercise, is not getting enough oxygen. Therefore, the body in its wisdom tries to compensate by manufacturing more red blood cells. So that when you run with the people who are not used to high altitude, for them, the red blood cells they have is minimum. For you, it is now more. So when they are gasping for air, they are running and doing like a for you are running. So you're comfortable.
In addition to this, some athletes go as far as storing part of their blood with the blood banks before going for training in these areas.
When you come down before competition, you get your blood you have hidden there. You pump it into your body. So it means now you have more liters of blood. Therefore, greater capacity of oxygen intake. Hence, better performance.
Indeed, altitude training boils down to being a health issue, but something that has been ignored regarding these athletes is the diet.
Carbohydrate foods and protein foods. And then, of course, naturally, a generally balanced diet to cater for minerals and other things. But basically, it is an energy sport.
This, coupled with a good mental state, one is ready to train with the purpose of getting gold. However, the training facilities have to be at their best.
There should be running track, that's a priority number one. There should be gym. There should be medical facilities.
Kiprotich attempted to train at the dilapidated Buko in Kapchora, but in vain. In an interview with a British national daily newspaper, The Guardian, Kiprotich had this to say about Uganda's training facilities. In Uganda, we need better training facilities. I have asked our athletic federation for better facilities, and they have been promising them without delivering. That pushed me to Kenya. I spend most of my time training there and visit Uganda to visit my family. Florence Nalimba, NTV.
We'll remind you of our NTV poll question for tonight and read out a few of your responses tonight. We ask, what do you make of the government's move to recognize Stephen Kiprotich's achievement?
Well, we'll read some of your comments right now. Kato Chrysostom, you say, we as Uganda do not deserve the gold because we did little. Kiprotich individually deserves this medal. Let's not be hypocritical.
Okay, KK saying, of course, government needs to come out and give backup to sports personalities as a form of motivation.
Keep those messages coming. We shall be reading some more of them before we wind up tonight's bulletin. Moving on, the government is planning to allocate part of Kyambogo University's land to an investor.
President Yoweri Museveni has written to the Ministry of Education to expedite the process.
Well, the Education Minister Jessica Alupo has confirmed that Mega Industries wants to be allocated about 5 hectares of university land for its expansion.
The minister was today appearing before the Social Services Committee of Parliament and also revealed plans to recruit 2,300 teachers for secondary schools this financial year.
Chingo Francis with that story.
Kyambogo University is among the 5 owned by government, but its land is under threat from the investors. President Yoweri Museveni has written to the Minister of Education to expedite the process of allocating about 5 hectares of land of Kyambogo University to Mega Industries.
Yeah, it's true that some time back I got a letter from the President informing me that there is an investor who has approached him. I think it's Mega Industries, something like that. What I did is that I engaged the council of Kyambogo University and I asked them to follow the law, if it is possible, to value the land, value the other land, and come back to me. So far, they have not yet come back to me.
Kyambogo University Vice Chancellor Professor Isaiah Omoro Ndiege has also petitioned Parliament saying the university land is under threat from land grabbers supported by powerful government officials and the Uganda Land Commission. Professor Omoro says the University Council has taken a decision to sue the Land Commission for illegally tampering with the university land title. The university needs about 4 billion shillings to fence off its land to protect it from the alleged land grabbers. Some lawmakers on the Social Services Committee of Parliament are also opposed to this move.
Kyambogo land is in the prime area. There is no way whatsoever they will fail to steal that land.
And I know also the president is very interested in giving investors, despite the fact that he doesn't mind about institutions. You saw what happened with the Shimoni, you saw what happened with the Chagwe Road.
Meanwhile, the government has announced plans to recruit 23,000 secondary teachers to fill up vacant positions this financial year.
Filling 23,000 vacancies instead of the required 47,000.
She says this will still leave a gap of 24,000 teachers out of the total 47,000 teachers required in secondary schools. Another 10,000 teachers are to be promoted to senior education officers. This comes at a time when the government put a ban on the recruitment of public servants. Jingo Francis, NTV Parliament.
He was one of the Bushwar comrades that brought this government to power, but in 1991 he fell out with the ruling government, citing intrigue and betrayal from his superiors. Retired Major John Kazora today launched his book titled Betrayed by My Leader, in which he critically attacks President Museveni and the system of government. As Maurice Ochol reports, retired Kazora notes that the book is aimed at highlighting what the past leaders went through and to avoid the past mistakes from being made by the future generation.
He served as the Special District Administrator for Kampala and later Director at the Internal Security Organization. Being one of the major founders of the NRM party, retired Major John Kazora fell out with the government that he helped to bring in power back in 1986. This later made him join the current major opposition party, the FDC. Today, after being in the opposition and serving with the NRM, Major retired John Kazora launched his book titled Betrayed by My Leader.
Without mentioning so many peasants and with this hope of fundamental change, all of a sudden we reach this level. You feel this panga of great betrayal. That's what prompted me.
So what intrigued him to leave the party that he once adored?
This came from UPM, which preached clean leadership, unity and peace. As you can see, all these now have been dashed, have been thrown to the political dustbin.
The book talks about how on March 12, 1991, he was called by Jim Mwezi's office, who was at the time the Director General of Political Affairs, for a brief. In the book, Kazora alleges that he was going to be arrested for embezzling 12 million shillings and accused of terrorism, and was told how he would explain everything in the courts of law. According to Kazora, this is a lesson that the country has got to learn.
To warn the leaders, present and past, that it is not good to betray your comrades, and also to instill it in the young generation, so that they grow up straightforward. In the future, they know that betraying your colleagues is very dangerous.
Betrayal I talked about. We also assist us in reflecting on how we conduct our politics overall, and especially how we strive to get leaderships.
Retired Assistant Bishop of Kampala Zach Niringia noted that it was time for the leaders not to hide their past.
That our dreams that we dreamt in the first and second decades of this century, 30 years from on, 20 years from on, our children will be proud that we who were at this moment in our history were honest with our history.
The book attacks President Yoweri Museveni and claims he betrayed some of their close partners and comrades that he was with during the Bush struggles. Maurice Ochol, NTV.
Police have detained the director of a petrol station in Ntinda, Kampala suburb, as investigations into fraud continue. Shamim Maembe is alleged to have been withdrawing money from the station's account sent by the Prime Minister's office. Now, CID believes that there might have been a connivance between the officials and the station to defraud government money. Over 6 billion shillings is said to have been used to purchase fuel between the period of June 2010 and this month, something the police is continuing to investigate. Julius Senkanwa reports.
It is alleged that Shamim Masembe connived with some of the already arrested officers from the Prime Minister's office to defraud the ministry over 6 billion shillings. The man in question, according to reports from the investigations department, was intended to buy fuel. It is New Total fuel station in Tinda on whose bank account the money from the Prime Minister's office was sent between June 2010 and August 2012. According to the bank statements, the money was being withdrawn by Shamim as soon as it was deposited, and this has now formed part of the investigations. The reports also indicate that on several days, money amounting to over 500 million shillings in the name of buying fuel was paid to the station's account, but in less than a day was withdrawn. Shamim Masembe is the second employee of the fuel station to be arrested over irregular payments in less than a month after the arrest of her young brother Hussein Katuma, who works as the general manager. Police squeezed her for 2 hours at CID headquarters before heading to the fuel station in Ntenda, where her office was also searched for 3 hours. Shamim's arrest follows efforts by police to get to the bottom of the case involving the misuse of government funds, abuse of office, and forging government documents by some workers from within the Prime Minister's office. Julius Senkandwa, NTV.
Israel's Deputy Foreign Minister is in Uganda for a 2-day official visit to strengthen business ties between his country and Uganda. Minister Daniel Ayalon arrived at Entebbe International Airport this afternoon and laid a wreath at the old Entebbe Airport to commemorate the life of the late Israeli commander, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Netanyahu, who was killed in the 1976 Entebbe raid by a Ugandan army sniper. Netanyahu was killed in action on July the 4th, 1976, while commanding Operation Thunderbolt at Entebbe. He was the only Israeli soldier killed during the raid, along with 3 hostages, all of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine members, and dozens of Ugandan soldiers. Here's Chris Ochamringa.
The Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister Daniel Ayalon came along with a high-level delegation of officials to promote Israel's relationship with Uganda in the business and health sector. The Deputy Minister paid tribute to the late commander of the 1976 Entebbe raid, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Netanyahu, who was killed by a Ugandan soldier in a daring rescue mission of Israeli nationals who were taken captive by Palestinian extremists after their plane was hijacked.
Colonel Yoni Netanyahu, who gave his life for freedom. The mission here was a mission of rescue, to save lives.
We share our feelings about the brave officers and soldiers who came to rescue people.
Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Netanyahu, the elder brother of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, led the rescue mission that was consequently renamed Operation Jonathan in his memory. This is one of the rooms where the Israeli hostages were kept by members of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine 36 years ago. Now the area is still riddled with bullets because this was the scene of some fierce fighting between the Palestine men and the then Ugandan army on the one side against the Israeli commandos, who eventually managed to rescue 102 of their nationals. Israeli nationals living in Uganda paid glowing tribute to the fallen soldier.
יוני לחש אחרי לאן שאפנה, רק אור גחליליות ליבם קדימה.
Daniel Ayalon came with a message of peace and promised to continue the collaboration between his government and Uganda in development initiatives.
Today, we follow the footsteps of the Entebbe operation, of the Yoni operation, but we come here with a different mission. We come here in a mission of peace and cooperation.
The Palestinian hijackers of the Air France aircraft landed in Entebbe airport because of the good relationship they had with the then Ugandan president Idi Amin. Their mission was to use the Israeli hostages as a bargaining chip to demand the release of Palestinian prisoners held in Israel. Chris Ochamringa, NTV.
Up next after this short break is NTV Business with Malcolm Musime. Stay with us.
Now I can die a champion. I can't die a useless man, but now important person now in my country. Yeah, when I grabbed the flag, I knew there was no one can close me again. So even if I walk, I can still win.
is NTV. This is NTV.
No one feels the motherland like we do. So tune in every day at 6 p.m. and Fridays from 11 p.m. for the best in homegrown music. Only on NTV, the station that celebrates local music talent.
Fieldwork has been defined by different scholars. Some think it is an art.
These are the blood types that are in human beings. We have A.
When a chemical reaction takes place, it involves two things.
We are given a straight line that has been denoted by 2x minus y is equal to 6.
Emese yali ku the last piece of a jambia yali muhadi wayo
The business with Umeme.
A very warm welcome to Monday's NTV Business. Malcolm Sim, and first tonight, the National Social Security Fund has warned that further delay of the construction of the pension towers following an appeal against the contract award by Chinese firm. As NTV's Samuel Sutumba reports, the National Aero Technology International has appealed against the move to award the contract to another Chinese firm, China Construction and Engineering Company, in a bidding process where all the pre-qualified firms are Chinese.
The National Social Security Fund has warned that the recent inquiry by the PPDA over the award of the contract for construction of the pension towers following the challenge of one of the pre-qualified company will inevitably delay the construction of the towers. NSSF management says that they are working with PPDA to sort the issue around the contract.
You look at this contract, all contracts, 70% have been told of the contracts in large contracts that are actually issued out. They are always challenged. PPDA will be coming back to us with a position on both the appeal and on the entire procurement process. The pension towers is one of the projects we are determined to get right. It's economically viable and with a projected return of 15%.
It's also true that all the three pre-qualified contractors for this job are Chinese companies. So where are the Ugandan companies, at least at pre-qualification?
So when NSSF is looking for large contractors, they don't have the specific experience. One of the guidelines, we wanted somebody who had done at least 5 buildings with over 10 floors, and also somebody who had a turnover of 25 billion shillings per annum. And there were no Ugandan contractors who actually had that turnover.
So which contractors erect all these buildings in Kampala? The suggestion is that local firms come together in consortia to match international competition. Samuel Setumba, NTV Business.
Now, insurers are concerned about a decision rescinded by the industry regulator over remittance of premium from the public that buys insurance through brokers, following several complaints of delays by insurance brokers to remit premiums to insurers. The industry regulator issued an instruction requiring brokers' clients to pay directly to insurance companies, a decision that has now rescinded. Reina Oljan has more.
The decision by the insurance regulator was informed by the perpetual delay by brokers to remit collections forward to insurance companies a reality that left their clients literally without insurance cover far longer than the mandated time frame. To cap the above challenge, the authority demanded that brokers should stop handling money from clients and for insurance companies to pay brokers' commission in 5 working days. However, the decision was taken without putting into consideration the provisions of the insurance law.
That circular was rescinded, or the instructions were rescinded, because the law, that is section 86, provides that the broker will remit the money to the insurer, that's premium collected, within 30 days. So that actually meant that the money can't go through the broker, but it has to be remitted to the insurer within 30 days.
The regulator insists that in spite bending backwards in line with the interests of the brokers, there is need for fair play in this service sector that continues to shake off a bad image of unsettled claims.
Since we are now talking of remitting funds, we are looking forward to their remitting premiums collected to the insurers within the given 30 days, and better still, within a shorter time. I mean, if you've collected, why hold on to the money? Remit it.
Even then, there remains concern that the individual institution obtaining cover may have far less binding undertaking in the current scenario, a factor the players are discounting.
And that proposal actually came from us. And we said, look, let the brokers open a clearly designated client collection account. And all those details were actually submitted to IRA. All the brokers opened that account, and the account actually will have, for example, in my case, Rock Insurance Services stroke client collection account. So it's very clear.
While a compromise solution has been sought and obtained, the real problem of delays in managing premiums from clients clearly remains untackled. Reina Ojan, NTV Business.
Now, in the financial markets, the shilling has remained fairly stable against the dollar, having traded today at 2,475 and 2,485 and selling respectively. We have more in the following report.
Financial Report
is brought to you by
URA, developing Uganda together.
All vehicles are required to revalidate their registration using our new online module and get a new logbook. All newly imported vehicles will also be registered online using this new online module. Get out of the line and get online.
Finally, on NTV Business tonight, Kenya plans to construct a pipeline to supply oil to neighboring Tanzania once it starts commercial exploitation of reserves recently discovered in Turkana County. The country's energy minister, Kiraitu Murungi, says the pipeline would link Nairobi to Arusha, with supplies being pumped from a refinery to be built in the northeastern part of the country. Tanzania has recently struck huge reserves of natural gas, but is yet to find oil. Kenya, however, has found reserves of oil in Turkana County, although tests are ongoing to establish its commercial viability. The Kenyan government says it will focus on satisfying demand in Kenya and the region through products refined at the facility planned for Isiolo in the northeastern part of the country. The announcement comes just months after the Kenyan government penned a tripartite agreement with South Sudan and Ethiopia for the construction of the 2,000-kilometer South Sudan Port of Lamu pipeline, which is expected in June next year. The project, that is to be completed in 2 years, is estimated to come at a cost of $3 billion. And that winds up NTV Business for tonight. We're going to take a breather. When we come back, Joel Kamadi will be giving you all the sports. Remember that defrosting your freezer regularly will save energy, as there will be less to freeze.
This is is NTV.
Forever, he does not change. He is and those who strive with you shall perish. I pray that which who has been fighting you will look at you. Fear not! God doesn't like cowards. He wants believers.
Just walk. Pick up your leg. Pick up your legs. Pick up your legs.
Chichi,
What's life?
is life ugly?
Is it spiritual?
Isn't it loved?
And above all, isn't life really drama?
Find out what life is and what it can be every Thursday at 11 p.m. with repeats on Friday and Sunday at 12:30 p.m.
kwera embeera y'abasajja bano
essuubi nga lyakuggwamu maama
bano abasajja abanaatera n'okujja kusigiriza ffe ekiro basituleko emiwumbo gy'emmere bagitwala.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Sport. I am Joa Kamadi. Now, the hearing of the case in which professional kickboxer Malik Kalisa is facing 2 charges of theft and assault of businessman Moses Kalunji has got off to a slow start, with prosecution asking for time to recall 3 witnesses. Prosecution alleges the kickboxer committed the offense last year.
Prosecution alleges that on the 13th of December 2011, kickboxer Malik Kalisa and his co-accused Abdullah Junju assaulted and deprived businessman Moses Kalunji over $4,000 and 600,000 Uganda shillings. However, during the hearing of this case before the Buganda Road Grade 1 magistrate Arali Muhira, prosecution asked for more time to recall 3 witnesses who have already testified against his co-accused Junju. The prosecution argued that bringing back witnesses would also give the defense time to cross-examine. Kalisa's lawyer Chalimpa Henry, in his response, said he would ask the case to be dismissed if the prosecution was not ready with its evidence. He also prayed court for a speedy trial, saying his client was a busy person and needed time to concentrate on his sporting career. His Worship Arali Muhira adjourned the case to the 20th of September this year. Malik Kalisa has so far denied the charges against him. He came into the limelight when he took on professional kickboxing in 2004 and has since lost twice to UPDF's Titus Tugume in the national title challenge.
Sooner or later, justice will prevail.
Now, the London 2012 Olympics ended with a spectacular musical closing ceremony and the official handover to the next host city, Rio de Janeiro. But probably the bigger news from the Olympics for the country is Stephen Kiprotich yesterday winning the men's marathon, beating Kenya's Abel Kirui and Wilson Kipsang. Now, not all of us got to hear what the man himself had to say when he crossed the finish line. We now bring you his post-race interview and word of warning, it's not to be missed.
When I was coming here, I came, I believed myself I can make it. My coach told me you can do it because he has been giving me a tough program and I've been doing it. So I say congratulations goes to my coach and my country. You know, this is a championship, so I have to plan it. When I saw they cannot move again, then I decided to go. I said, I believe myself and I move. I saw they're going to close me, but Kumba that finish also, so I said I can go. Yeah, it means a lot. Since 1972, we have never won another medal, so I'm very happy that I've won a medal for me, for my country, for my family, for everybody in Uganda and the world. Now I say I can die a champion. I can't die a useless man, but now important person now in my country. Yeah, I'm very happy.
What were you thinking when you grabbed the flag and when you crossed the line?
Yeah, when I grabbed the flag, I knew there was no one can close me again. So even if I walk, I can still win. So I wanted to celebrate, to cross the line with my flag to show that everyone in my country is watching me.
Elsewhere, at the closing ceremony, fireworks went off above the East London Stadium, The Who performed My Generation, and the venue was transformed into a sea of red, white and blue confetti. The finale, which began with Big Ben chiming, paid tribute to UK music, fashion and culture. Prince Harry represented the Queen at the ceremony, which took place on top of a stage in the shape of a Union Jack and saw a volunteer cast of 3,500. The show saw the Spice Girls reform to sing Spice Up Your Life from the top of 5 London taxis. During the ceremonial part of the show, the Olympic flag was waved aloft by London Mayor Boris Johnson and passed by Mr. Rouge into the hands of the Mayor of Rio, Eduardo Paes. And that winds up NTV Sport for tonight. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Joe Kamadi. Up next is the weather prospects for tomorrow.
Alright, before we close tonight's newscast, we'll quickly take you back to tonight's NTV poll, and we asked you, what do you make of the government's move to recognize Stephen Kiprotich achievement?
We asked for your views. Tonight's poll was not result-oriented, so we'll just go straight into reading some of your comments. I'll start with Ivan Oketa. The issue of recognizing him as a national hero is not beneficial to the sports fraternity. Government can instead initiate a sports fund in his name.
And Debbie in Entebbe fondly calling him Kips. She says Kips is a hero that deserves a national public holiday to celebrate his victory.
Indeed. Stella Skew, you say, for once, let him enjoy his gold alone. I mean, him and his family, no government.
And finally, on my end, Greens in Nyabushozi saying Kiprochich's achievement has washed shame from Ugandan faces and should be declared, he should be declared a hero and be given other tangible rewards to celebrate him and to motivate him as well.
Of course, personally, I delight in silence over Uganda's gold, because really I did not expect
You didn't see it coming.
I didn't see it coming at all. And I think a lot has to be learned from this win at the very end of the 2012 Olympics.
Okay, that concludes NTV Tonight. I will return later with NTV Late Night for a final roundup of the day's main developments.
I'm Gabriel Lepin. Thank you for watching.
This is NTV.
combination here, y'all. Feel it. The revolution will be televised. Feel me?
Come on. She with shampoos a lot. Several mornings she shampoos my locks. Always have my back, she stand true to that. Real type of loving, thank you for that. Yo, run barefoot without no shoes and socks. Cause she keep herself clean, man, I go catch no rush. And she love me for real, man, I feel have no cash. And any little thing and from a splish, she splash. Yo, all this blinging is like you forgot. Use cheddar as the bait, then you recruit the rat. So we listen couple speech of Martin Luther chat. Dennis Brown, Bob Marley and some super cats. Yo, it seem like she live upside the Duke shop. Cause she don't have a scratch, it's only beauty spot. When one duty start is when one duty stop. 1 9 to 5, 1 5 to 12 o'clock, you see me?